Hey everyone, welcome to the Everyday Human podcast. My name is Easton Taverna. Each day I'll share a reflection written by me and inspired by literature, poetry, music, movies, video games, and more. And after that, I'll share a prompt for you to write your own reflection. Together, we'll explore what it means to be human. Every month, we'll walk a new path, taking a look at life, death, the universe, and everything in between. Thanks for coming along. I'm glad you're here. For more, visit eastontaverna.com or join me on Instagram at _everydayhuman.
Hello everyone, it's March 31st. I hope you're doing well. Today's reflection was inspired by the poem Ode to a Nightingale by John Keats. And the reflection is titled, Why Do You Do It? John Keats, if you're not familiar with him, was an English poet of the second generation of Romantic poets. So he would be grouped with folks like Lord Byron and Percy Bysshe Shelley. And Keats' poems were in publication for only about 4 years before he died at the young age of 25 from tuberculosis. Apparently, his poetry was considered neither good nor bad and was received indifferently while he was alive. But after his death, it quickly became popular. So it goes. I first read some of his work probably in junior or senior year of high school and then again in college, and I've always been a fan of it. Ode on a Grecian Urn remains one of my favorite poems, and we actually get to that one later in the year, in May, which is the month on love. So I'm not going to read the entire poem of Ode to a Nightingale today, only 2 stanzas, but I do encourage you to go ahead and look it up online. There are a couple great poetry websites out there. Poetry Foundation is one, or All Poetry, I think, is another one. But yeah, you can find it very quickly. Just a quick search online will give you the whole poem, and give it a read if you feel so inclined. All right, so here is the section that inspired today's reflection. Darkling I listen, and for many a time I have been half in love with easeful death. Called him soft names in many amused rhyme, to take into the air my quiet breath. Now more than ever seems it rich to die, to cease upon the midnight with no pain, while thou art pouring forth thy soul abroad in such an ecstasy. Still wouldst thou sing, and I have ears in vain, to thy high requiem become a sod. Thou wast not born for death, immortal bird. No hungry generations tread thee down. The voice I hear this passing night was heard in ancient days by emperor and clown. Perhaps the selfsame song that found a path through the sad heart of Ruth, when sick for home she stood in tears amid the alien corn. The same that oft times hath charmed magic casements opening on the foam of perilous seas in fairy lands forlorn. And here is my reflection. We often want what we can't get, another odd yet fundamental aspect of human nature. Immortality, that's one of the big ones, and we've already covered that a bit in other reflections. But while we know it's impossible to live forever, we often resolve instead to desperately seek ways to leave our mark, to continue somehow, some way after we are gone. The simplest way to do this is programmed into our genes: reproduce. It's animal instinct, survival beyond our own small and limited individual lives through the passing on of DNA. The desire to continue on is literally a part of us. But even if you do end up with some progeny, and even if you don't, and while that is fulfilling the instinctual predisposition to carry on, sometimes it's just not egotistical enough. A child might look like you, have similar mannerisms, have the same voice, but they are individuals themselves, as they should be. So what do? We look elsewhere. How else can I remain after I am gone? It used to be statues. A likeness of a king or president or saint carved of stone. Grand feats of architecture, towers, cathedrals, bridges, something that will last through the ages, that can have a plaque of the benefactor or ruler who commissioned it and didn't even labor to make it, but such are humans. But if you didn't or don't have endless money to throw at something like statues or buildings, maybe you felt the only thing you could do was make art, paint or compose or write, leave something beautiful that came from your passion and has your soul stamped upon it for future generations to see and learn from and hear your voice through. When we came to terms with the fact that we would not have a biological child, I fell into this trap, the notion that my writing would be all that would remain of me long after I was gone, if anyone cared to read it. But that was around maybe 10 years ago, and since then, I've shifted my perspective. Writing so that your words outlast your physical body seems kind of crazy, and it seemed at odds with why I began to write in the first place, because I loved it. It was my passion, because it was how I explored humanity and my own soul, and how I made sense of the world around me. Writing or making art for its own sake is where we can draw value from it. Not sales, not posthumous fame, none of that. Write and stick it in a drawer. Write and burn it to ashes, and you will still have created something. You will still have learned something about the world and yourself. While the nightingale's song may be immortal, the bird does not sing for everlasting life. It sings because that is what it must do. So find what it is that you must do and carry on with it joyfully until you die. And do not wish for anything beyond that. And there ends today's reflection. I still have to remind myself of this all the time. Maybe less about my work having, a life after me when I'm gone, and more about the why of my writing. So I write for a living, and anytime money is attached to something that you do for a passion, it kind of makes the waters a bit murky, doesn't it? You start to care about things like sales and numbers or subscriptions or whatever it might be, because that's kind of the way the world is set up right now. We're made to believe that something is successful, whether it is a painting you post online, or even if you do a live gallery. How many people came to the show? How many likes did it get? How many views? It's all about a number, right? And that's sad to me. But I have to remind myself of it because I fall into that trap all the time. How many backers did my Kickstarter campaign get? How many sales did your latest book get? How many pre-orders? How many downloads did the podcast get? The value we place on these creations, these pieces of our soul that we take out of us and put onto paper or canvas or carved into wood, shouldn't have to come from these numbers. I first started writing when I was probably in like 4th grade, when I was reading Redwall and The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and I started writing my own fantasy because I loved it, not because I was envisioning sales or popularity or anything like that, but because I was inspired by those stories. And I had something inside of me that needed to come out, and the way it would be by putting pen to paper. So that's the kind of thing I need to remind myself of. And it becomes hard when money is attached to it, but such is the world we live in, like I said. Your hobby has to become a side hustle, but it shouldn't. Try not to do that. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. That's my thoughts on that. And now it's time for your reflection question. So in your journal, on your napkin, or while you're looking out your reflection window, if you're hunkered down inside trying to avoid the pollenocalypse that's going on out there, consider the following question. What is it that I must do and create? Have I been looking for immortality in the wrong places? How can I shake this desire to better live in the present? And that's it for March 31st and the month of March on death. So, tomorrow is April 1st, and we'll be switching gears stepping away from death. And I know this can be a challenging subject to think about. It was for me when I was writing it. But we are moving towards April and a new topic, and that new topic is on nature. So we'll be heading into that tomorrow. So I look forward to that. That is a favorite topic of mine to write about and to embody as best I can. So I'll be back tomorrow, April 1st, with another reflection. Have a good one and take care.